One more important thing. Our trade is well balanced, mutually complementary in high-tech, energy, scientific research and development. It is very balanced. As for BRICS, where Russia took over the presidency this year, the BRICS countries are, by and large, developing very rapidly. Look, if memory serves me right, back in 1992, the share of the G7 countries in the world economy amounted to 47%, whereas in 2022, it was down to, I think, a little over 30%. The BRICS countries accounted for only 16% in 1992, but now their share is greater than that of the G7. It has nothing to do with the events in Ukraine. This is due to the trends of global development and world economy, as I mentioned just now. And this is inevitable. This will keep happening. It is like the rise of the sun. You cannot prevent the sun from rising. You have to adapt to it. How do the United States adapt? With the help of force, sanctions, pressure, bombings, and use of armed forces. This is about self-conceit. Your political establishment does not understand that the world is changing under objective circumstances. And in order to preserve your level, even if someone aspires, to the level of dominance, you have to make the right decisions in a competent and timely manner. Such brutal actions, including with regard to Russia and, say, other countries, are counterproductive. This is an obvious fact. It has already become evident. You just asked me if another leader comes and changes something. It is not about the leader. It is not about the personality of a particular person. I had a very good relationship with, say, Bush. I know that in the United States, he was portrayed as some kind of a country boy who does not understand much. I assure you that this is not the case. I think he made a lot of mistakes with regard to Russia, too. I told you about 2008 and the decision in Bucharest to open the NATO's doors for Ukraine and so on. That happened during his presidency. He actually exercised pressure on the Europeans. But in general, on a personal human level, I had a very good relationship with him. He was no worse than any other American, Russian, or European politician. I assure you, he understood what he was doing as well as others. I had such a personal relationship with Trump as well. It is not about the personality of the leader. It is about the elite's mindset. If the idea of domination at any cost, based also on forceful actions, dominates the American society, nothing will change. It will only get worse. But if, in the end, one comes to the awareness that the world has been changing due to the objective circumstances, and that one should be able to adapt to them in time, using the advantages that the U.S. still has today, then perhaps something may change. Look, China's economy has become the first economy in the world with purchasing power parity. In terms of volume, it overtook the U.S. a long time ago. The USA comes second, then India, 1.5 billion people, and then Japan, with Russia in the 5th place. Russia was the first economy in Europe last year, despite all of the sanctions and restrictions. Is it normal from your point of view? Sanctions, restrictions, impossibility of payments in dollars, being cut off from SWIFT services, sanctions against our ships carrying oil, sanctions against airplanes, sanctions in everything, everywhere. The largest number of sanctions in the world which are applied against Russia, and we have become Europe's first economy during this time. The tools that the U.S. uses don't work. Well, one has to think what to do. If this realization comes to the ruling elites, then yes, then the first person of the state will act in anticipation of what the voters and the people who make decisions at various levels expect from this person. Then maybe something will change.
You're describing two different systems. You say that the leader acts in the interest of voters, but you also say these decisions are not made by the leader, but made by the ruling class. You've run this country for so long, and all these American presidents. What are those power centers in the United States? And who actually makes the decisions?
I don't know. America is a complex country, conservative on one hand, rapidly changing on the other. It's not easy for us to sort it all out. Who makes decisions in the elections? Is it possible to understand this when each state has its own legislation, each state regulates itself? Someone can be excluded from the elections at the state level. It is a two-stage electoral system. It is very difficult for us to understand it. Certainly, there are two parties that are dominant, the Republicans and the Democrats. And within this party system, the centers that make decisions, the their decisions. Then, look, why, in my opinion, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, such an erroneous, crude, completely unjustified policy of pressure was pursued against Russia? After all, this is a policy of pressure. NATO expansion, support for the separatists in Caucasus, creation of a missile defense system. These are all elements of pressure. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Then, dragging Ukraine into NATO is all about pressure, pressure, pressure. Why? I think among other things because excessive production capacities were created. During the confrontation with the Soviet Union, there were many centers created and specialists on the Soviet Union who could not do anything else. They convinced the political leadership that it is necessary to continue chiseling Russia.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do if this isn't going to work.
This territory, several quasi-state entities, and to simply
Not sure why the stream ended. I think it's Prism.
From the future struggle with China. This is a mistake, including the excessive potential of those who worked for the confrontation with the Soviet Union. It is necessary to get rid of this. There should be new, fresh forces, people who look into the future and understand what is happening in the world. Look at how Indonesia is developing. 600 million people. Where can we get away from it? Nowhere. We just have to assume that Indonesia will enter. It is already in the club of the world's leading economies, no matter who likes it or dislikes it. Yes, we understand and are aware that in the United States, despite all the economic problems, the situation is still normal, with the economy growing decently. The GDP is growing by 2.5%, if I'm not mistaken. But if we want to ensure the future, then we need to change our approach to what is changing. As I already said, the world will nevertheless change, regardless of how the developments in Ukraine end. The world is changing. In the United States themselves, experts are writing that the United States are nonetheless gradually changing their position in the world. It is your experts who write. I just read them. The only question is, how does it happen? Painfully and quickly, or gently and gradually? And this is written by people who are not anti-American. They simply follow global development trends. That's it. And in order to assist them and change policies, we need people who think, look forward, can analyze and recommend certain decisions at the level of the leaders.
I just have to ask you, you said clearly that NATO expansion was a violation of the Protocol of 1890 and it's a threat to your country. Right before you sent troops into Ukraine, the Vice President of the United States at the Security Conference encouraged the President of Ukraine to join NATO. Do you think that was an effort to provoke you into military action?
I repeat once again, we have repeatedly proposed to seek a solution to the problems that arose in Ukraine. See, the times we means. But no one listens to us. And moreover, the Ukrainians were under the so then we declared that they would not comply with the Minsk agreements. They disliked everything there and continued military activity in that territory.
Synthesis.
And in parallel, that territory was being exploited by NATO military structures under the guise of various personnel training and retraining centers. They essentially began to create bases there, and that's all. Ukraine announced that the Russians were a non-titular nationality, while passing the laws that limit the rights of non-titular nationalities in Ukraine. Ukraine, having received all these southeastern territories as a gift from the Russian people, suddenly announced that the Russians were a non-titular nationality in that territory. Is that normal? All this put together led to the decision to end the war that neo-Nazis started in Ukraine in 2014.
Do you think Zelensky has the freedom to negotiate settlement to this point?
I don't know the details. Of course, it's difficult for me to judge. But I believe he has, in any case, he used to have. His father fought against fascists, Nazis during World War II. I once talked to him about this. I said, what are you doing?
AJC, yeah, YouTube killed my stream. I'm not sure whether it was YouTube or just Prism. So, I do this on a really cheap ass phone, so need to get it figured out though before Sunday.
He talked about this. It was thanks to this that he won the elections overwhelmingly. But then, when he came to power, in my opinion, he realized two
I'll do it
things.
from a different phone.
It is better not to clash with neo-Nazis and nationalists, because they are aggressive and very active. You can expect anything from them. And secondly, the US led West supports them and will always support those who antagonize Russia if it's beneficial and safe. So he took the relevant position despite promising his people to end the war in Ukraine. He deceived his voters.
But do you think at this point, as of February 2024, he has the latitude and freedom to speak with you or your government directly, not putting enemies, which clearly is the topic of this country or the world? Can he do that?
He considers himself head of state. He won the elections. Although we believe in Russia that the coup d'etat is the primary source of power for everything that happened after 2014. And in this sense, even today, government is flawed. But he considers himself the president, and he is recognized by the United States, all of Europe, and practically the rest of the world in such a capacity. Why not? We can. We negotiated with Ukraine in Istanbul. We agreed. He was aware of this. Moreover, the negotiation group leader, Mr. Barkami is his last name, I believe still has the faction of the ruling party, the party of the president in the Rada. He still has the presidential faction in the Rada, the country's party. He still sits there. He even put his preliminary signature on the document, I'm telling you. But then he publicly stated to the whole world, we were ready to sign this document. Mr. Johnson, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, came and dissuaded us from doing this, saying it was better to fight Russia. They would give everything needed for us to return what was lost during the clashes with Russia, and we agreed with this proposal. Look, his statement has been published. He said it publicly. Can they return to this or not? The question is, do they want it or not? Further on, President of Ukraine issued a decree prohibiting negotiations with us. Let him cancel that decree, and that's it. We have never refused negotiations, and we hear all the time, is Russia ready? Yes, we have not refused. It was them who publicly refused. Well, let him cancel his decree and enter into negotiations. We have never refused. And the fact that they obeyed the demand or persuasion of Mr. Johnson, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, seems ridiculous and very sad to me, because as Mr. Barakami put it, we could have stopped those hostilities with more than a year and a half ago already. But the British persuaded us and we refused this. Where is Mr. Johnson? And the war continues.
That's a good question. Where do you think he is and why do you do that?
Ocean film. I don't understand it myself. There was a general starting point. For some reason, everyone had the illusion that Russia could be defeated on the battlefield. Because of arrogance, because of a pure heart, but not because of a right mind.
You've described the connection to Russia and Ukraine. You've described Russia itself a couple of times as Orthodox. That's the Jewish understanding of Russia. So you're Orthodox. What does that mean? For you, you're a Christian people, by your own description. So what effect does that have on you?
You know, as I already mentioned, in 988, Prince Vladimir himself was baptized following the example of his grandmother, Princess Olga. Then he baptized his swan, and then gradually, over the course of several years, he baptized all the Rus. It was a lengthy process, from pagans to Christians, and it took many years. But in the end, this orthodoxy, Eastern Christianity, deeply rooted itself in the consciousness of the Russian people. But Russia expanded and absorbed other nations who professed Islam, Buddhism, and Judaism. Russia has always been very loyal to those people who profess other religions. This is her strength. This is absolutely clear. And the fact is that the main postulates, main values are very similar, not to say the same, in all world religions I just mentioned, and which are the traditional religions of the Russian Federation. Russians, by the way, Russian authorities were always very careful about the culture and religion of those people who came into the Russian Empire. This, in my opinion, forms the basis of both security and stability of the Russian state. All the peoples inhabiting Russia basically consider it their mother. They say people move over to you or to Europe from Latin America. An even clearer and more understandable example, people come, but yet they have come to you or to European countries from their historical homeland. And people who profess different religions in Russia consider Russia their motherland. They have no other mother. We are together. This is one big family, and our traditional values are very similar. A just mentioned one big family, but everyone has his or her own family. And this is the basis of our society. And if we say that the motherland and the family are specifically connected with each other, it is indeed the case, since it is impossible to ensure a normal future for our children and our families unless we ensure a normal, sustainable future for the entire country, for the motherland. That is why patriotic sentiment is so strong in Russia.
But can I say that the one way in which religions are different is that Christianity is specifically a nonviolent religion. Jesus says, turn the other cheek, don't kill. How can a leader who has to kill any Christian, how can a leader be a Christian? How do you reconcile that to yourself?
It is very easy. When it comes to protecting oneself and one's family, one's home, we won't attack anyone. When did the developments in Ukraine start? Since the heat attack and the hostilities in Donbass began, that's when they started. And we're protecting our people, ourselves, our home, and our future. As for religion in general, you know, it's not about external manifestations. It's not about going to church every day or banging your head on the floor. It is in the heart. And our culture is so human-oriented. Dostoevsky, who was very well known in the West and a genius of Russian culture and Russian literature, spoke a lot about this, about the Russian soul. After all, Western society is more dramatic. Russian people think more about the eternal, about moral values. I don't know, maybe you won't agree with me, but Western culture is more pragmatic after all. I'm not saying this is bad. It makes it possible for today's golden billion to achieve good success in production, even in science and so on. There's nothing wrong. I'm just saying that we kind of look the same.
So do you see this?
My
So, Nate Windows got busted yesterday, some shit like that. Nate, the supervisor, they say his windows got busted.
His car?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And they said that they thought that I did it or something. I wouldn't even fucking curious. They said somebody from IES was looking for me or something. I don't fucking know. I wasn't curious. I wouldn't look. I wasn't looking for you. No, because y'all not looking for me. That's what I'm not doing.
I disregard the rules.
Yeah, I wouldn't even fucking hear it. That's some female shit to do anyway, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's cameras out there too, right?
So I ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything. What's your name? What's your last name? I don't think I see anything. Wait, did you call the office today to see if you could come back?
No, I don't call off.
No, I don't think I have anything.
Yeah, IES ain't come here then. I just outside smoking. My dude told me like, man, they looking for you. They said you busted their window, man. You fucking busted the window.
No one said anything to me about it.
Your natural at work is you look out across what's happening in the world now. You see God at work. Do you ever think to yourself, these are forces that are not human?
No, to be honest, I don't think so. My opinion is that the development of the world community is in accordance with inherent laws, and those laws are what they are. It's always been this way in the history of man. Some nations and countries rose, became stronger and more numerous, and then left the international stage, losing the status they had accustomed to. There's probably no need for me to give examples, but it would start with the Genghis Khan, Ford conquerors, the Golden Horde, and then end with the Roman Empire. It seems that there has never been anything like the Roman Empire in the history of mankind. Nevertheless, the potential of the barbarians gradually grew as did their population. In general, the barbarians were getting stronger and began to develop economic activities in the same today. This eventually led to the collapse of the Roman Empire and the regime imposed by the Romans. However, it took 5 centuries for the Roman Empire to fall apart. And the difference with what is happening now is that all the processes of change are happening at a much faster pace than in Roman times.
So when does the AI empire sort of
You're asking increasingly more complicated questions. To answer them, you need to be an expert in big numbers, big data, and AI. Mankind is currently facing many threats. Due to the genetic researches, it is now possible to create a superhuman, a specialized human being, a genetically engineered athlete, scientist, military. There are reports that Elon Musk had already had a chip implanted in the human brain in the USA.
what do you think of that?
Well, I think there is no stopping Elon Musk. He will do as he sees fit. Nevertheless, you need to find some common ground with him, search for ways to persuade him. I think he's a smart person, and I truly believe he is. So you'll need to reach an agreement with him because this process needs to be formalized and subjected to certain rules. Humanity has to consider what is going to happen due to the newest development in genetics or in AI. One can make an approximate prediction of what will happen. Once mankind felt an existential threat coming from nuclear weapons, all nuclear nations began to come to terms with one another since they realized the negligent use of nuclear weaponry could drive humanity to extinction. It is impossible to stop research in genetics or AI today, just as it was impossible to stop the use of gunpowder. But as soon as we realize that the threat comes from unbridled and uncontrolled development of AI or genetics or any other field, the time will come to reach an international agreement on how to regulate these things.
I appreciate all the time you've given us. I'm just going to ask you one last question, and that's about some very famous in the United States, probably not here. Evan Gershkovich, who's the Wall Street Journal reporter, he's going to into prison for almost a year. This is a huge story in the United States, and I just want to ask you directly, without getting into the details of your version of what happened, if as a sign of your decency, you would be willing to release him to us and we'll bring him back to the United States.
We have done so many gestures of goodwill, of decency, that I think we have run out of them. No, we have never seen anyone reciprocate to us in a similar manner. However, in theory, we can say that we do not rule out that we can do that.
So apparently she just reported a string on mine just now.
When I talk about the partners, I first of all refer to special
Well, I'm going to
services.
report her threat.
Special services are in contact with one another. They are talking about the matter in question. There is no taboo to settle this issue. We are willing to solve it. But there are certain terms being discussed by special services channels. I believe an agreement can be reached.
So typically, I mean, this stuff has happened for obviously centuries. One country catches another spy with their tours and trades it for it. And so we tell guys in another country. I think what makes this, it's not my business, but what makes this different is the guy's obviously not some fancy human. And maybe he was breaking your law in some way, but he's not a super spy. Everybody knows that. And he's being held hostage in exchange, which is true. With respect, it's true. Everyone knows it's true. So maybe he's in a different category. Maybe it's not fair to ask for somebody else in exchange for money about. They give you great questions.
You know, you can give different interpretations to what constitutes a spy, but there are certain things provided by law. If a person gets secret information and does that in a conspiratorial manner, then this is qualified as espionage. And that is exactly what he's doing. He was receiving classified, confidential information, and he did it covertly. Maybe he did that out of carelessness or his own initiative. Considering the sheer fact this is qualified as espionage, the fact has been proven as he was caught red-handed when he was receiving this information. If it had been some far-fetched excuse, some fabrication, something unproven, it would have been a different story. But he was caught red-handed when he was secretly getting confidential information. What is it then?
But are you suggesting he was working for the U.S. government or NATO, or he was just a reporter who was given material he wasn't supposed to have? Those seem like very different things.
I don't know who he was working for. But I would like to reiterate that getting classified information in secret is called espionage. And he was working for the U.S. Special Services, some other agencies. I don't think he was working for Monaco, as Monaco is hardly interested in getting that information. It is up to Special Services to come to an agreement. Some groundwork has been laid. There are people who, in our view, are not connected with Special Services. Let me tell you a story about a person serving a sentence in an allied country of the U.S. The person, due to patriotic sentiments, eliminated a bandit in one of the European capitals. During the events in the Caucasus, do you know what he was doing? I don't want to say it, but I will do it anyway. He was laying our soldiers, taken prisoner, on the road and then drove his car over their heads. What kind of person is that? Can he even be called human? There was a patriot who eliminated him in one of the European capitals. Whether he did it of his own volition or not, that is a different question.
And where's the little bit of that? I mean, that's a completely different.
He's not just a journalist that reads. He's a journalist who is secretly giving
Sorry, guys.
information.
Hey, Midwest, the chat wasn't keeping up at all.
People who are essentially controlled by the U.S. authorities, wherever they are serving a sentence. There is an ongoing dialogue between the special services.
See, just a restreamer.
Resolved in a calm, responsible, and professional manner.
800 miles, huh?
So, let them do their work. I do not rule out that the person you refer to, Mr. Gershkovitz, may return to his mother. But at the end of the day, it does not make any sense to keep him in prison in Russia. We want the U.S. Special Services to think about it.
Sorry, guys, I didn't see any of this.
The goals
There we
our
go.
Special Services are pursuing. We are ready to talk.
Yeah, Send and Hennessy, I think, reported my last stream that I was
Success.
copyright infringing.
Probably this is going to be crowned a success as well. But we have to come to.
She's gonna fuck with the wrong man.
Thank you.
I'm gonna address it Sunday on my long drive. Driving to Pittsburgh Sunday to do a quick job.
We say once again,
As long as the equipment comes before
the
then.
more public we render things of this nature, the more difficult it becomes to resolve.
I may address it before that. We'll see.
I wonder if that's.
Almost don't want to address it, but she's getting stupid.
I guess
And the title of that thing is
for strategic reasons. But are you worried that what's happening?
I took it as a
in
threat.
could lead to something much larger and much more horrible? How motivated are you just to call the U.S. government and say let's come to terms?
Yeah, see, it didn't disappear that time.
I already said that we did not refuse to talk. We're willing to negotiate.
I don't know why
Is
it
the Western silent and your brain
disappeared this morning. It may be just this phone too.
I do not want you to take it as if I'm looking for a strong word agreement, so we both understand what is happening. The financial support, $72 billion US was provided. Germany ranks second, then other European countries are not only. Dozens of billions of US dollars are given to Ukraine. I know there's a huge influx of weapons. In this case, you should tell the current Ukrainian leadership to stop and come to negotiating table, rescind this absurd decree. We did not refuse.
Yeah,
Sure, but you already said it. I didn't think you meant it as an insult because you already said it correctly. It's been reported that.
yeah, but I didn't have an issue with Prism on this phone. It just literally I was restreaming to like 4 places,
And that's why I asked.
one at a time. Like Rumble never kicked off, then D Live kicked off, and then kicked off, and then the stream ended, saying, and it said possibly due to copyright issues from the source. So I went right into the studio, nothing. And honestly, I said, fuck this shit, and just deleted that. The stream's gone from my library. So, I mean, I don't know why I never started up on Rumble. I think I'm going to start using the static.
They didn't, so let them correct it themselves. We support this.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding what you're saying. I think you're saying you want a negotiated settlement to what's happening in Ukraine.
Right. And we made it. We were there, a huge document in Istanbul that was initialed by the head of the Ukrainian delegation. He affixed his signature to some of the provisions.
There's only a few listening to the
He
stream.
put his signature, and then he himself said, we were ready to sign it, and the war would have been.
Yeah, I understand.
However, Prime Minister Johnson came, you talked us out of it, and we missed the chance. Well, you missed it, you made a mistake, but then get back to that is all. Why do we have to bother ourselves and correct somebody else's mistakes? I know one can say it is our mistake.
She's been talking shit about Asia too.
And decided to put an end to the war that started in 2014 in Donbass, as I have already said, by means of weapons. Let me get back to further in history. I already told you this. We were just discussing it. Let us go back to 1991, when we were promised that NATO would not expand. To 2008, when the doors to NATO opened to the declaration.
You made a fucking joke. And everybody else in chat.
Let us go back to the fact that NATO and U.S. military
chuckled about it.
started to appear on the territory of Ukraine.
She was the one. She's like,
Let us go back to coup d'etat in Ukraine.
inDOC, you need to just chill. I'm like, this first of all, this isn't even your fucking
They
stream.
go back and forth endlessly, but they stopped negotiations.
And I wasn't even talking about you, you dumbass, or you dumb bitch.
They are ready.
Yeah, let the bitch
Do
talk.
you think it's too humiliating at this point for NATO to accept Russian control of what was 2 years ago Ukrainian territory?
I said, let them think how to do it with dignity. There are options if there is a will. Up until now, there has been an uproar and screaming about inflicting a strategic defeat on Russia on the battlefield. Now they are currently coming to realize that it is difficult to achieve, if possible at all. In my opinion, it is impossible by definition. It is never going to. It seems to me that now, those who are empowered in the West have come to realize this as well. If so, if the realization has set in, they have to think what to do next. We are ready for this time.
Would you be willing to say, congratulations, NATO, you won, and just keep the situation where it is now?
You know, it is a subject matter for the negotiations. No one is willing to conduct, or to put it more accurately, they are willing, but do not know how to do it. I know they want to. It is not just I see it, but I know they do want it. But they are struggling to understand how to do it.
I just gotta figure out what I'm gonna use to stream with now, because
It is not us who have done that. It is our partners.
even some of the,
Well, now let them think how to reverse the situation.
hey Matt,
Against them. It would be funny if it were not so sad. This endless mobilization in Ukraine, the hysteria, the domestic problems, sooner or later it will result in agreement. You know, this probably sounds strange given the current situation. But the relations between the two peoples will be rebuilt anyway. It will take a lot of time, but they will heal. I'll give you a very unusual example. There is a combat encounter on the battlefield. Here's a specific example. Ukrainian soldiers got encircled. This is an example from real life. Our soldiers were shouting to them, there is no chance, surrender yourselves.
because my stream on the other channel
Suddenly,
was
the
ended.
soldiers were screaming from there in Russian. Perfect Russian.
Is it
saying,
blurry?
Russians do not surrender. And
Really?
They still identify themselves.
You can't tell when you're using the fucking YouTube app. There's no signal indicator or
What is
nothing.
happening is, to a certain extent, an element of the civil war.
That's the signal here. It may be this phone too. This phone's a piece of shit.
No, they will be reunited. The unity is still
It keeps-
there.
Even the brightness on the screen keeps fading in and
Why
out.
are the
So
Ukrainian authorities
probably on its last leg.
Church? Because it brings together not only the territory. It brings together our souls. No one will be able to separate the soul. Shall we end here, or is there anything else?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Pretty good interview. Let's see what kind of spin they do here with it.
Thank you. I'll take some questions. Something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. I will be an elderly man with a president of this country back in the street. I don't need his recommendation. It's totally if he continues as president, my memory is so bad I let you speak. That's actually worse. My memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I've come back. None of these other capacity. No, I guess forgot. Thank you. I'll take some questions.
Yeah, I saw it. I already watched it when I was eating dinner. Actually stopped watching what I was watching just to see your stream. I'll drop you a comment later. Actually, by the time I got in there, it was already over, but I watched it and gave it a like. Be dirty. right. 10:30. Let's get the flock out. Ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I think he's got court on the 20th, so he'll have to be home by then. So what are we going to do Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday? Talking to Dirty. I'm going to Pittsburgh Sunday. Well, at least that's the plan right now. I just got to install a ring camera. Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, I just got to install a ring camera on the front of the building there, and then I got a little echo for the woman's office. Apparently, she's too lazy to get up every time someone comes to the door there because they keep it locked. I guess when you store Suboxone and other opiate type stuff in your office, people try and rob you. It'll be later. Yeah, it'll be later. It's Sunday, man. I got to install 24 fucking cameras out at Green Springs on Saturday. They just came today in the mail. When I get home, I gotta look in the box to make sure everything's there. 24 fucking cameras, but they're all wireless. So all I gotta do is mount them and register them. Yeah, I only have to do just one ring. Literally, I got a little adhesive thing for it to mount it. I just gotta register it and we'll go from there. Oh shit! Now this may disconnect when I switch over to the car. Normally it's through Prism and it'll hold for a few seconds. So I'm gonna try and get it reconnected once we get out there. Okay, but we're leaving. All right, hang on. Let me make sure this is connected right. All right. North 37. Going to the hockey game tomorrow. Wilbur. Is Bow still on? Watch this real quick.
What's up, everybody? Great Lakes here, and this is an update from the Northwood Mayor's Court in Northwood, Ohio, with Magistrate C. Drew Griffith and me requesting to record in their courtroom. It's not a court of records, so it's things a little bit differently, but they still fall under Ohio Rules of Superintendent's Rule 12. I asked them what their policy was, if they have a form or anything, and they didn't have anything. They were creating one, and that's what this video is going to be about. Is the form they created. You're gonna love it. So let's get a little recap of what happened, and then we'll get into the document.
Only after I'm forced to identify will you allow me to practice my First Amendment right? Right, but you're restricting it. Does that say I have to identify? I'll submit it in writing. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not giving you my ID. Are you sure you're going that route? Okay, all right. And what is your name? Drew Griffith. Okay. Yeah, you're a smug actor, aren't you? Yeah, I'll have it in writing. Don't worry.
And if you want to follow along, get a copy of it for yourself, you can go to northwoodoh.gov or search Northwood, Ohio Mayor's Court. And under the Mayor's Court, you'll see the little click here. That's towards the bottom of the page, and you can follow along there. What I don't normally put in my videos is the work that I do beforehand. I make a lot of phone calls to try to get things resolved without doing what I'm about to do today. So I called City Attorney Brian Bellinger and asked if we could talk about it. He said he would get a copy of it and take a look at it. This was on January 29th. Today is now the 7th of February. And I have yet to receive any phone call, the contact, or messages.
Yeah.
It's going to be uploaded the 8th. And today the 8th is the city council meeting, so I'm going to have to take this up to the city council. So I call him and try to talk to him about, like, all right, here we go, and he'll get back to you. So here's actually, you know what? I'll just play the phone call for you. Here's the phone call.
Ballinger and Moore.
Hi, is Mr. Ballinger available?
May I tell who's calling?
My name is Aaron Collins.
Hold on just a moment.
Thank you.
Brian Ballinger.
Hi, Mr. Ballinger. My name is Aaron. How are you?
Good here.
I am. Are you familiar with Northwood Court's media recording policy requests? The forms you have to fill out now.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, vaguely, I don't.
I'm the reason behind it.
Okay.
So I just got a copy of it today, and I have some concerns with it. I would like to just talk to you, if you have a brief moment, about them. It's basically restricting the First Amendment with some of the stipulations in here, and I would try to do things before I go to the YouTube channels and all that.
Sure.
I try to just take care of things on the outside. Like, look, we can talk, and if he'll give me crap about it, or they're nasty, rude to me, like Drew Griffith was, then I show people what's going on.
Let me do it this way here. Let me get a copy of what they are, because I don't have anything in front of me right now. What is your phone number?
I was actually going to take some, make copies for you. Like, I could email it to you and let you review it when you got time. We could talk about it later on. If you'd like, I can do that.
No, I can pick it up.
Okay.
Give me your phone, 419.
I have a very flexible schedule, so I have no problem. If you want to sit down, we can talk about it on the phone. It's whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah. Let me get it, and then I'll give you a call back. It won't be today, I can tell you right now, because I've got things going on. But I'll pick it up tomorrow with the court.
Okay.
And make sure we're both looking at the same thing, and we'll go from there, okay?
Absolutely, I'd appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much for the call.
I appreciate you taking the time. Have a great. All right, so here it is. Here's page 1 of 4. It's not so bad. I do have an issue with it asking for the name of the company and who from the company's got to be there. What if Joe Schmo off the street wants to come in and report? Court rules and superintendents do not say that it must be a media representative. It can be anybody. But then again, you put a camera in your hand, you're an independent journalist, you're a citizen media, however you want to call it. That's how I feel. Again, it doesn't specify it must be with an organization, must be credentialed through that organization, or anything like that. Page 2 is just who's going to be here and signing off on it. But now we're going to get into page 3. This is where things get a little interesting. All right, page 3, media guidelines. Please refrain from filming, videotaping, recording, or taking photographs of victims or witnesses. According to Rule 12, you're to ask the witnesses and victims if they wish to not be recorded. And if so, then you're going to not record them. You're not allowed to if they say no. So let's go on to what we have here. First one, interviews of attorneys or defendants will not be permitted in the courtroom. Okay, that's fair. Interviews may take place only after the court has heard a case. That sounds to me like they are restricting free speech. So if I want to interview someone before they go to court, interview them after they go to court, how was it before? How was it after? What do you think is going to happen? Are you happy with what happened? That restricts that. That right there is a violation. No interviews of defendants that are in custody will be permitted. Understandable. There are no rooms available to the court at the court for interviews. Okay, got it. They're encouraged to take place outside, which is where the court doesn't have any jurisdiction. And for them to say that I can't interview someone before they...
It was funny today. I went to a car wash where they vacuum the inside and stuff like that of the car, and I forgot my burner at the door. I left the car there and walked inside because they take it through the car wash and everything. And the owner comes up to me while I'm waiting in the lobby. He's like, I don't know if we're cool about you just leaving your firearm sitting right there in the door of your car. He goes, and I'm not sure if I'm cool with you. I'm not sure I'm cool with you even having it on you while you're here, though. And I'm like, it's not a firearm. He's like, what do you mean?
Actually, chapters that are in person myself. Let's go on to the next page. All right, page 4. Here we go. All media requests are subject to approval by the magistrate and/or court bailiff. And we can't go any further because we have to address this. So look at the Ohio Supreme Court Court Rules of Superintendents, Rule 12. We're not going to dwell on this very much. If you want to pause it and read it, have at it. All I got to do is look up Ohio Court Rules of Superintendents and go down to number 12 and tap it. It's all in blue. Just tap it, take it right to it. But here's all 3 pages of it, section 12 through 12A, B, C, and D. And nowhere in here does it say that the court bailiff has any authority to make any decisions on who can and cannot record in the court. That's the discretion of the presiding judge. So the magistrate being the presiding judge, they have that authority, not the bailiff. All right, so let's start over. All media requests are subject to approval by the magistrate and/or court bailiff upon receipt of the media request form. On submission of the media request form, members of the media may be required to meet with the magistrate and/or court bailiff for instructions prior to entering the courtroom. I'm guessing this is where we're going to search you, your equipment. This is where you can stand. This is where this is your restricted area, which is they're allowed to do that under Rule 12. If there's multiple representatives, they'll make arrangements to have the audio, video shared, things of that nature. It doesn't outline what's going to be discussed, and that's a little bit of a they can't say this is what's going to happen if these situations are. So I kind of get that a little bit. All right. The court reserves the right to limit the number of media representatives in the courtroom if they determine the number is excessive. Again, Rule 12 states that. If any disputes arise regarding the presence of media, the magistrate or bailiff may exclude the presence of any or all media representatives. That to me is if anybody has any kind of objection whatsoever, then they can remove us. That means if someone just sitting in the gallery says, I have a problem with this, why do they report blah, 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 blah. Like when I was here 7 months ago, this lady was in there freaking out about it and asked that, I not be in there or at least be searched, fine, I'm cool with that. I'll let that happen that day, just for that day, so I can get my point across. I'm going to be here and report it. But if just because someone has some kind of what's a dispute? What is it like if someone has a fit? If someone doesn't like it, we all know that there are Karens and Darrens all over the place, and every time we go with a camera, we are subject to someone flipping out. We get it. It happens. So just because someone has a problem with the camera that is not a witness or a victim doesn't mean that we should be removed. And that's what that says that can do. Signing all this acknowledges that, and that's why I'm never going to put this form out. It's correct. And then again, under what authority does the bailiff make that decision to kick media out? It's up to the judge. And again, for this one though, if there's a dispute, it doesn't matter who it is, they could kick us out. We need to address that and get that cleared up and take care of. Lastly, Northwood Mayor's Court makes efforts to follow rules set forth by the Ohio Supreme Court Rules of Superintendent's Rule 12. I gotta say, not exactly. Restricting media's rights to interview until after a court proceeding, having a bailiff have authority to approve or deny, that is not outlined in Rule 12. I mean, being able to kick us out because someone somewhere has any kind of a problem with it, these things are not outlined in Rule 12. So that directly refutes what they're saying right here. And today, February 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m., Northwood City Council meets, which is perfect timing given 10 days, no response from Mr. Ballinger, city attorney and prosecutor, about this form, and how to just clean it up to make it actually fit what Rule 12 says and fit within the confines of the law and not violate people's rights. And after today's city council meeting, I'll try to get my footage uploaded, uncut if I can, but the city council meetings are recorded and
even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. For the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, in the highway, and in the driveway. Isn't that sweet? Cause the time through the blind like white pain. You never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complicate. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. And mine's got the key ingredient, it's belief. Let's see what the negativity. But I just gotta right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never
Come on, guys, Jesus.
go, 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 but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts and turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts and put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling on the pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push back, start again, and you find a door. Open it up and finally strong. Everything that you thought you could never do. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer, you know, man, I still go. Go.
I saw that. Okay, got it. Yeah. I don't know why, because it's connected. Did you connect the right channel?
Fucking my channel.
On the Zoom thing, hit. Got it.
Hey, Jody.
There you go. You're up there twice.
Where?
Look at the top. It says fire up.
Ah!
Really? I like this one. Yeah, there's that.
Watch my video. Everybody watch his video. Yeah, go ahead. I'm not live. Yeah, for sure. Only with permission, though, because apparently I restream people without permission, and I need to be pegged.
It's about to be probably 3, maybe 6 arrests here. You guys want to stick around for it or no? It's cold out there. Oh.
Chopper just sent me a
Get
text.
closer? No, it's cold out there. I ain't getting on the car. Yeah, it's Central and San Pedro. They've been trying to crack down on this bus stop for a little while now because people who are trying to use the buses can't use them because this bus stop is always filled with people getting drunk and smoking fentanyl. So they've been cracking down on this one in particular for a little while. And that lady right there was just yelling at the... This is not police, though. This is transit. Transit safety, which I don't think they have arrest authority. Maybe they do, because this dude's putting on gloves right now. I've personally never seen them make an arrest. They're telling Albuquerque police are on their way. What's up, ANCAP? Not transit, they are city security. Transit safety. So they're telling them right now that Albuquerque PD are on their way. Let's see, we got this thing right here. I'm gonna put on my jacket. So I'll take this. Oh, geez, I can't get it off the window. All right. Let's stick it right here.
Fucking piggies in a piggy pile there.
We can lower and raise the window to move the camera. It's cold out there and I'm hungry. I was headed up to Freddy's to grab something to eat and saw the big crowd over here.
All right, Chopper's sending me links now too. His videos are always fun to watch. He sent me a bunch of fucking shit now. Minneapolis has become a sanctuary city, I guess.
And despite some companies adding workers' challenges in downtown Minneapolis, well, it's because people are still working from home.
And comments this week about getting people back downtown from Mayor Jacob Fry involving the word losers. Well, that's getting a lot of attention on social media. Brittany Ehrman got a response from the mayor and has a look at different ways to bring people back downtown.
You're bringing your employees back?
Comments from Mayor Jacob Fry at a downtown council luncheon are drawing backlash.
I don't know if you saw this study the other day.
The mayor had a message for those working from home.
When they stay home, sitting on their couch with their nasty cat blanket diddling on their laptop, if they do that for a few months, you become a loser.
People took to social media calling out the mayor's comments. On Thursday afternoon, Fry called it a joke.
People in the room took it as a joke. When it gets taken out of context in a social media post, things can run wild.
He says this was his intention.
Look, my goal as mayor, a responsibility that I have, is to bring people back downtown.
The downtown council says employees coming back to work is not the whole solution, but it's part of it.
They're really important. They're a huge part of the fabric of downtown today.
Council data shows 65.
Immigration might be the most controversial and polarizing issue in Washington, D.C.
And now it's likely to become among the most controversial issues in the state capital of St. Paul. Some DFL lawmakers propose making Minnesota a sanctuary state for undocumented immigrants. Chief political reporter Tom Hauser is here with what they're proposing, Tom.
Yeah, Paul, undocumented immigrants are people who are in this country illegally. Some DFL state lawmakers propose making the state of Minnesota a sanctuary for these immigrants, meaning the state would not assist in enforcing federal immigration law.
This bill is common sense, and this bill is urgent.
One political party's common sense
Blue hair.
is another party's extreme. While lawmakers in Washington
Surprise.
work out
Jesus,
immigration reform focused on
Right
the
on
southern
sluts.
border, Minnesota DFL Senate and House legislators propose the North Star Act.
The North Star Act says that Minnesota does not terrorize its residents. Minnesota does not waste precious public dollars enforcing broken federal immigration laws.
The exact language of the bill won't be available until Monday, but in general, the North Star Act prohibits collaboration and data sharing between state and local governments and the federal government on immigration enforcement. It does allow collaboration for public safety.
Minnesota has a long history of welcoming new Americans to our communities, and our state is better off because of it.
But Republicans say welcoming potentially thousands of undocumented immigrants to Minnesota would create a huge economic burden.
Think about our counties, our schools, those institutions, our healthcare systems. I mean, this is a huge burden on our state.
There is also a fundamental disagreement over enforcement of laws.
The state enforces the state laws. It is the federal government's job to enforce federal laws.
The role of government is to create laws and then enforce them, and that's what I think we need to do here in Minnesota.
If the North Star Act becomes law, it would prohibit law enforcement, schools, and public health agencies from even asking about a person's immigration status. 10 states have similar sanctuary state laws on the books now, while another 9 states prohibit passage of sanctuary laws. The legislature begins on Monday. Live in the newsroom, Tom Hauser, 5 Eyewitness News.
I'm not going to play poker. No, I'm tired. I'm tired. Got a lot of shit to do tomorrow. So. All right, guys. I will be online tomorrow at one point, probably. We'll see. Probably do a desktop thing from home. Yeah. Later, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry I wasn't able to keep the other stream going. Love you guys. Peace.